with President Obama. Going to go down as one of the worst presidents in the history of this country. He has been a disaster on the military. You look at we can't beat ISIS. He's been a disaster on health care because Obama's got to be repealed and replaced. And I'm just talking about, not even from my standpoint, rates are going up, your premiums are going up, 25, 35, 45, 55%. People are getting killed.
So you're going to
repeal and replace.
What do you replace it with?
There are rooms in Washington that are designed for politeness. Rooms with white tablecloths and crystal glasses and place settings arranged with the precision of a military drill. Rooms where presidents and press secretaries and journalists and celebrities sit elbow to elbow once a year and pretend for one evening that the war between them is all in good fun. The White House Correspondents' Dinner is that room. And on the night of April the 30th, 2011, every person in that room, every camera, every microphone, and every living room watching from home knew that what was about to happen between the two men seated tables apart from each other was not going to be polite. It was not going to be routine, and it was not going to be forgotten by morning. Because for months, Donald Trump had been doing something no private citizen had done to a sitting president in modern American history. He had questioned whether the president was American.
And her campaign of 2008 started the birther controversy. I finished it. You know what I mean. President Barack Obama was born in the United States, period. Now we all want to get back to making America strong and great again.
He had demanded his birth certificate. He had gone on television, day after day, insisting that the first black president of the United States had not been born in this country. He had turned a conspiracy theory into a national conversation and ridden it to the top of the polls. And now, for the first time, the two men were in the same room, and the room was holding its breath. Let me set the scene properly, because this story deserves to be told right. Stay with me, because this gets more extraordinary with every paragraph. And the joke Obama told about Celebrity Apprentice, 3 sentences, delivered with the timing of a man who has practiced the pause 1,000 times, is the joke that political historians now believe changed the course of American politics forever. The weeks before that dinner had been unlike anything the country had experienced. Donald Trump was not yet a politician. He was a real estate developer, a reality television host, and a tabloid fixture who had discovered that questioning Barack Obama's citizenship was the fastest route to a cable news booking in America. He went on every show that would have him. He demanded the birth certificate. He implied dark conspiracies. He said he had sent investigators to Hawaii, and they could not believe what they were finding. He said it with the absolute certainty of a man who had learned that confidence, delivered loudly enough and often enough, can substitute for evidence in the minds of millions of Americans. And it was working. Polls showed Trump leading the Republican primary field. His name was everywhere. His face was on every channel. The birther conspiracy, which had been a fringe theory for years, had become mainstream because one man with enough fame and enough volume had decided to make it his brand. And then, just days before the dinner, Obama released his long-form birth certificate. He held a press conference. He said the country had more important things to do. He was calm. He was measured. He was annoyed in the specific way that a man is annoyed when he has been forced to respond to something he considers beneath the dignity of his office. And most people assumed that was the end of it. The certificate was out. The conspiracy was debunked. The story was over. But that was only the beginning.
Barack Obama, born in the United States.
Let me just...
Was he? It's a meatball.
I know.
It's hanging out there. Just right there. Come on.
I was waiting for this. And you want to know? I don't talk about it anymore.
You know that meatball is now being dragged down the steps of the subway by a rat.
But I'm talking, you're right.
Because on April the 30th, Barack Obama walked to the podium at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, adjusted the microphone with the unhurried composure of a man who knows exactly what he is about to do, looked out at the room, and found Donald Trump. Trump was sitting near the front, arms crossed, jaw set, the expression of a man who has come to a party expecting to be the main character and is slowly realizing he is about to become the punchline. Obama smiled. Not a smirk, not a sneer. The easy, confident smile of a man who has been thinking about this moment for weeks and is about to enjoy every second of it. He began. No one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that is because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac? The ballroom erupted, not politely, not with the rehearsed chuckle of a Washington audience being generous to a mediocre joke, with the full-throated roar of a room that has been waiting for someone to say out loud what everyone has been thinking for months. The birther conspiracy, which had dominated American media for weeks, which had been treated by cable news as a serious question deserving serious coverage, which had propelled Donald Trump to the top of the Republican polls. Obama had just placed it in a lineup with moon landing hoaxes, alien landings, and dead rappers. He had taken the thing Trump was most proud of, the thing that had made Trump famous in political circles, and classified it as what it was, a conspiracy theory, in the same category as Roswell, delivered with a smile so calm it made the conspiracy look even smaller. Let that sit for a moment, because the cameras found Trump, and what they showed the country in that moment became one of the most analyzed images in modern political history. Trump did not laugh. Trump did not smile. Trump did not nod with the good humor of a man who can take a joke. Trump sat motionless, stone-faced, jaw tight, while the entire room laughed around him. The image was devastating not because of what Obama said, but because of what Trump's face revealed.
You and I talked about President Obama and the whole birth certificate thing.
I didn't say it was a mistake. I just said I don't want to talk about it.
No, I'm asking you now, do you accept that President Obama was born in the United States, is not Muslim?
I really don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why he wouldn't release his records. But, you know, honestly, I don't want to get into it. He came up with this thing all of a sudden miraculously. Remember this one thing. I'm only going to get one thing, because I'm about jobs, the economy, and I'm about the military and taking care of our vets.
But you still don't know.
Let me just...
A man who has spent his entire life demanding that every room he enters revolves around him was sitting in a room that was revolving around him, but not the way he wanted. He was not the star. He was the joke. And every camera in the room was watching him discover that in real time. And here is where the story shifts completely, because Obama was not finished. He had one more sequence prepared, and it was aimed with the precision of a lawyer making a closing argument. He turned to Trump's credentials. He brought up Celebrity Apprentice. He noted that on a recent episode, the men's cooking team had failed to impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And he said, with the driest delivery in the history of American political comedy, that Trump had correctly identified the real problem as a lack of leadership. And so, ultimately, Trump did not blame Lil Jon or Meatloaf. He fired Gary Busey. And these, Obama said, pausing just long enough for every camera to tighten on Trump's frozen face, are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night. The ballroom dissolved. The laughter was so sustained, so layered, so physically overwhelming that the cameras shook. Because Obama had just done something no political opponent, no journalist, no cable news anchor had managed to do in months of coverage. He had taken the man who was leading the Republican polls and reduced him to his actual resume. Not the buildings, not the brand, not the gold-plated mythology, the actual resume. A man who fires Gary Busey on a reality show and calls it leadership. Obama placed that resume beside the presidency of the United States and let the distance between them speak for itself. One of these things is true. They cannot both be true. Either Donald Trump was a serious political figure whose questioning of the president's citizenship deserved the respectful coverage of a national press corps, or Donald Trump was a reality television host who fired Gary Busey and was now being compared to the president on the president's own stage, and the comparison was not going well.
Well, very simply, you have to get everybody in a room. You have to be a leader. The president has to lead. I hear the Democrats are going to be blamed and the Republicans are going to be blamed. I actually think the president would be blamed. If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the president of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together.
Obama did not tell the audience which one to believe. He simply placed the two men side by side and let the room decide. The room decided in 4 seconds of sustained, uncontrollable laughter. Do not go anywhere, because what this moment produced will genuinely surprise you. Because political historians have spent years analyzing what happened inside Donald Trump's mind during those 90 seconds of laughter. Multiple reporters and biographers have pointed to that night, April the 30th, 2011, as the evening that changed Donald Trump's trajectory. The theory, supported by Trump's own subsequent behavior, is that the humiliation of sitting in that room, motionless, while the President of the United States reduced him to a punchline in front of every important person in Washington, is what made Trump decide he would run for president himself. Not policy, not patriotism, not a vision for the country. The need to never sit in that chair again. The need to be the one at the podium. The need to make sure that no one would ever laugh at him from above again. If that theory is correct, and the timeline supports it, because Trump's political operation began in earnest shortly after that night, then Obama's joke did not just win the evening. It produced the next decade of American politics. A presidency born not from conviction, but from humiliation. That generation watched Obama stand at that podium, absorb months of personal attacks without flinching, and respond with 3 jokes so clean, so precise, so perfectly calibrated that they dismantled a conspiracy theory, exposed a resume, and possibly launched a presidency, all without raising his voice. The record is the record. The facts are the facts. Trump questioned Obama's citizenship for months. Obama released the birth certificate. Obama stood at the correspondents' dinner and placed the birther conspiracy beside the moon landing and Roswell. Trump sat motionless while the room roared. Obama compared Trump's leadership experience to firing Gary Busey on a cooking show. The cameras caught every second. The clips traveled around the world before the dessert was served. And the man who sat stone-faced in that room, who could not laugh at himself for even one evening, who could not absorb 90 seconds of humor from the president he had attacked for months, that man spent the next decade trying to make sure he would never be in that chair again. Not by becoming funnier, not by becoming wiser, not by learning the lesson the room was teaching him, by becoming president himself. Because for a man who cannot survive being laughed at, the only answer to a joke is the most powerful office on earth. Some jokes are forgotten by morning, and some jokes land so precisely on the right man, in the right room, at the right moment, that they do not just win the evening, they rearrange the next 10 years of history. This was one of those jokes. Share this with someone who still remembers what it looked like when a president answered months of insults with 90 seconds of calm and a smile that stopped the room.